Hello, everybody. Welcome to our leader SIG of the Agile Austin organization. And here we are in October 2025. My goodness, this year is almost over. The year is almost over. Slow down, slow down. Hey, I'm just going to go through a few slides and then we'll introduce Rick, our guest speaker for today, and we'll get into it. And the Agile Austin organization is the umbrella within all our SIGs, right? And this one is the leader SIG. And we connect, we collaborate, we grow. We are we are like Agilists at heart, but it's all about growth and adapting in this ever-changing world of globalization and AI and all the other stuff. Yay! We just want to keep on evolving. So you should be able to see my slides. We have a board of directors that are awesome. I was actually president for 4 years and I'm not there anymore, but these folks are taking over since July and they're doing great. I still get involved with director of sponsorship and doing this meetup every month. I can't just let go. I can't let go to my home away from home here. Okay. Uh, I always tell everybody board at agileaustin.org if anybody ever wants to send an email, provide feedback, and all that stuff. Uh, I always tell people just go to our site and I'll put the link in there. Like our site has all the information you need from membership. We have like 150 members all around the world. It's $35 a year. You get special perks, but our membership really supports us. They support us because they like the stuff we do and they like the content we put out there on the YouTube channel and all the things we do. And then we have sponsors also, right? That they sponsor us. And we have Agile Velocity, Resumex, who I see here, and Anu from Resumex. Thank you, Anu. Shout out. How you doing? Hey, Anu.
I'm good, Max. How are you?
Hey, doing well here with Rick, and thanks for coming out. Thanks to you folks. And SEMA also is our gold sponsor. They do a lot of this software development company, a lot on like the AI space, and Admeliora, Aaron Randall, who is a phenomenal coach and all that, right? So thank you, sponsors. They make a lot of things possible for us. And I always tell people, Agile Velocity, our platinum sponsor, they give 15% off if anybody ever wants to snap a picture of this code, or it's going to be in the recording. But they're awesome and they offer a lot of certification classes, trainings, like workshops, and they've been a sponsor and a partner for like 15 to 16 years. Agile Velocity. Yeah. So folks, we're awesome. We are really an awesome organization. We give like scholarships. We give scholarships, one scholarship every year, be pretty substantial. I think the last scholarship we did was about like $3,000 to $4,000. Like we support our members with things that they want to do and give scholarships, and then these members come back and present at SIGs the various things they've learned and what they're doing. This is actually happening October 9th. We're having an in-person meetup in Austin, and Lonnie, who got the scholarship the last year, is going to talk to us about frameworks and changing how you work and adapt in like an ever-changing world of AI, globalization, etc. But having a framework about the change that you have to face, right? So that's a great thing and stuff that we have. And going on, oh, I clicked one too many times and it took me somewhere else. Hold on. There you go. Oh, I clicked on the apply for the development scholarship. Wait, I don't want to click on the apply. What's happening? Hold on. Bu- 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 Stay calm, folks. It's all good. It's all good. So I just tell people if you want to hear about all the awesome things that we do, just subscribe to our meetup page. I'm putting the link in the chat. When you subscribe, we have like 7,600 plus people subscribed. You get all the notifications to our meetups where it's all free content. We put it on the YouTube channel. It'll be great to even subscribe to the YouTube channel. We just have a lot of stuff there, right? and everything. So thank you for subscribing when you do, and it is awesome. We have like anywhere between 4 to 7 meetups every month. Like that is a great thing for a nonprofit like organization to put that much content out. Wow, it's so exciting. Anybody that would like to volunteer, do stuff with us, I always tell people just contact us. Contact us and let's have a conversation. Again, I'm just putting a lot of stuff in the chat so that you can go through and see that, right? Uh, I don't want to go into what's coming up, but how exciting that this leader SIG here that you're on, this started back in 2009. Every month, we might skip a month here and there, but since 2009, when people did not even know what Scrum was, and we were doing like, how do you do sprint planning? What is the advantage of putting an estimation together for your sprint and everything? Fast forward to now, we're talking about like psychological safety and the impact that that can have on customer value and a bunch of other things. But this evolved over 16 years, and we're going to celebrate that in December. It's 16 years of the leader SIG that has been going on. Right on, folks, right on. And for those of you that might not be aware, we have CA is coming up. Keep Austin Agile is our annual conference. Save the date. It is April 10th of next year, 2026, Friday, April 10th. So, Rick, don't be on some cruise in Miami or who knows what. Just block out that day. If you can't come in person, it's hybrid.
Okay.
Log on so you see us. Okay. We are so excited. We've been doing CA now for like 15 years. It's so much fun. It's so much fun all the time. So, folks, as we transition into our session for today, I would like to ask one question to everybody. I can see all of you here on my screen, separate from what I'm sharing. I would like to ask for you to turn on your camera for just a Brady Bunch picture. Okay, take a second, finish that bite that you're having. I see you, Laura, Alan, Tim, Anu, Rick, Peter, I see you. Okay, yes, just a few more people. Woody, Dave. All right. Who else? Who else? And Nicole, Tammy, Lucy, David. So now we're going to take a picture, and I want you folks to really act as if you're having a good time here. Okay? So, like, shout, give a heads up, smile, and everything. Okay? So I'm going to do this. All right? 3, 2, 1. Keep it. Okay, I got it. I got it. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see what I got here. Hey, it works, man. It works. Hey, snippy work. Let me show you what I got here. Okay, there you go. And this is going to work for today. Why is my system a little bit slow? There you go. We got the double fist of Rick there. Way to go. Peace sign from Laura. Yeah, Shavy. There you go. And the process mechanic is pointing to the process mechanic behind him, like the sign. Oh, was that a thumbs up? Oh, it wasn't a pointing, it was a thumbs up. I got you, Woody. I got you. Thank you, folks. We're going to put this on LinkedIn. Is that okay with everyone? Is that okay with everyone to say thank you for being here? All right, folks, let's do this. Let's do this. We are going to do some introductions soon, but I am so excited to have Rick here from Miami. Rick and I were able to like be at a conference here in Austin back in April together, and we just did a little clip. I'm like a video, and I'm like, man, there's someone out there that talks as much as me. This is so exciting. There's someone with the energy that I have and everything. So as long as these energies don't contradict each other and everything, we're going to have an awesome discussion here today. Okay? And Rick, he's going to introduce himself, but I just want to say thank you for being here, Rick. Thank you for being. Oh, and I've got to admit people here and not forget about that. Okay? So, Rick, why don't we start off with you doing an introduction of yourself? I'll introduce myself, and then we'll get into psychological safety a key ingredient for delivering customer value. Okay? Talk to
Absolutely.
us.
So, Max, thank you very much for allowing me to talk to your community. And yeah, if anybody's had the chance to listen to that video of me and Max, it was kind of out there. You know, he's very energetic, and I am as well. So it's going to be interesting how we pull this off. So again, I'm the CEO of Transformation Experts. I've been right now doing a lot of executive coaching, but understand that I went through a lot of learnings to get to that point. So a big journey in my life. I'm a CEC certified. I've done certifications for people. I've certified people in different, whether it's SAFe, whether it's Scrum, whether it's CSM, CSPO, CAL classes, all those things I've done. I'm now taking a step back and really just enjoying helping coaching executives. So that's really what my main goal is. And I love what I do. It's a passion. I'm excited to help and share with you a little bit of my journey. That's it, Max.
Thank you, thank you. And I will also try to keep it short because we got a lot of fun stuff to do. Max Akesi, I've been in IT my whole life. I was in corporate America for 20 plus years. Dell, PayPal, Amazon, because they acquired Whole Foods. I was part of Whole Foods, General Motors, large enterprises, but everything changed last year in April 2024. I started my own company. My own company. So from being in a role where I was doing a lot of agile transformations in the program portfolio and the roadmap space, it got to a certain point that I was like, why don't I try to create my own transformations, create my own culture, and deliver technology services to mostly small and medium-sized companies. And it's great. We help startups, we build mobile apps, like websites, we do some staff augmentation in regards to support. We build stuff for clients and then we help support the stuff that we build, right? We're like end to end like that. So, and I have been very involved in the Agile Austin community as being president for the last 4 years and being involved since 2009 with the facilitation of this group. And I'm super excited to go to the next slide. Something to share with us?
Yeah, I do. I do. So I've been in a journey, guys. There's my journey. And I'm finally writing my first book. Some of you maybe have written several. This has been a 8-year journey that I want to kind of share with you, right? A lot of people talk to me about how do I get into, being a Scrum Master, how to get an Agile. Well, this is my journey all the way up to kind of owning my own business, just like you, Max. That was amazing to get to that point where you feel like you can run on your own and you can kind of execute that. So I'm writing the book, being very transparent and showing you all my failures, maybe even giving you some hints about certification classes that you might want to take for yourself if you want to get the CEC or something like that. I'll give you some guidance on that, right? So again, very personal story, a lot of personal learnings, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I put the QR code there if you guys want to get it. Please at least list yourself in there on the waiting list because that should be coming out soon. I'm still working on some of the fine details, and that's it.
Woo. And maybe we can send a link on the meetup communication like afterwards also, right? So people that might not have been able to join. Awesome. So folks, now we're going to start talking. And I want all of you, if you have something to share, put it on the chat, raise your hand, because we're going to make this as interactive as possible. Okay. But I'm so excited to be here because this is a topic I'm passionate about and Rick is passionate about also, because it can really make the difference. It can really make the difference. So, Rick, why don't I just start off by talking a little bit of like, what is psychological safety and why is it important, right? Why is it important? And I think we have a true blessing that there was actually an in-depth study that was done that provided data on this. The Aristotle Project. Do do you folks know what the Aristotle Project is? Do you folks know? Some people say yes, some
We
people
got
say
one
no. I
hand
see some
up. We got a
thumbs up.
couple thumbs up.
A
Yes.
couple thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say my piece. And then if someone wants to chime in with something in chat and everything, feel free. So, Google, thank goodness for Google for not only for doing this, but for sharing all the outputs and the data. Over 2 years, over 2 years, they conducted, and I jotted this down to get the right information, they conducted 200 plus of the interviews and looked at the attributes and deep dive with over 180 active Google teams. They looked at 180 teams and they did like sessions of interviews with each one that added up to like 200 in depth of the interviews. And they came out with surprising findings. They said they thought that like what makes a high performing team? That was their goal. They thought they would see pay, seniority, educational ability, technical skills, co-located or not co-located. You guys know how much this back to office and all this stuff is like visibility. That wasn't even in their top five. As they were finding out everything about what makes a high performing team, the teams shared their feedback, and by far the number one thing was psychological safety. Psychological safety, right? The ability, they said, the ability to actually feel that you can share information and not be marginalized. The ability to be yourself and feel that that will not be a disadvantage to you. That was the number one thing. And why is it important? Right? Rick, chime in on this and tell me what your thought is. Like, why is this so important?
So let me share with you a personal story, right? So,
Mhm.
and this is actually in the first chapter of the book, right? But um, during my growth, right, I was in the project coordinator and project manager, went into that field. And I was forced to work in a way, or I felt forced to work in a way where I was bullying people. I'm going to be very transparent, Max, here.
Mhm.
I was not such a great person when push comes to shove and I needed to meet a deadline. We feel as sometimes as project managers, there's this saying that people like to say, you're large and in charge. And that's what was engraved on me. You need to make sure you manage the team to get the success. If they fail, you fail. You are ultimately fully responsible for everything. And that kind of pressure was really difficult. So I would ask everyone, before you feel you could commit, or help create that environment of psychological safety, do you even understand why people even go to that venue? Why do people even behave that way? I think you have to be empathetic and understand a little bit of what might be causing that. So that's the first step in my journey to kind of figure that out. Like, hey, make sure we understand where that is coming from on that step.
That is spot on. And
Max,
I
have you
love
ever bullied anybody? I want to get really personal with you. I want you to think back. Was there ever a time that you felt, I'm going to put you on the spot here with all your community
of
here.
course you will.
Were you ever on the spot where you felt like, I wasn't behaving the way I should have behaved to create
I,
that environment? Talk to me.
oh boy, yes, yes. Well, for people that know me well here say that could never happen. That
Never
could
happened.
never happen.
Okay.
But I will say, because of the nature of my behavior, I'm a little bit loud sometimes. I'm very expressive. And sometimes I don't think I'm being a bully. I don't think I'm coming across in a manner that might be intimidating. I'm being polite. I say good morning at the start of the meeting. I check in. How are people doing? But then I notice a lot of people saying, "Hey Max, I didn't get a chance to speak." I was like, just say that during the meeting. I'm like, it's not easy to get a word in. It's like, this was like months after we had started the project. Like I too started off as a project manager. So I want to I thought that I was doing the right thing because a lot of people said, you bring energy to the room, Max. Yes, I bring energy to the room. Yes, and people appreciate that and feedback. I actually got compensated for that. Like I got promotions and I got thrown on projects that were not doing so well because I bring energy to the room. I do well. And so, not knowingly, I didn't do the key thing, which is part of psychological safety, and that is listening. You have to listen. And everybody, this is a key thing I learned. Not everybody speaks up when they're given the opportunity. So you have to find a way to, regardless if people speak up or not, there are other ways to get feedback besides verbal communication. You can have anonymous surveys. You can do things in a variety of ways that people give the feedback. And when people feel that they are heard, when people feel that their feedback doesn't marginalize them, when they know that they are part of it too, regardless what their viewpoint or feedback might be, and it's heard and it's acknowledged and it's posted somewhere, it's they can see it, this creates a lot more foundation for psychological safety. There's more to it, but this was
So,
a key thing. So I learned, Rick, to listen more. Okay.
all right, so Max, we got our cue. My cue is when I raise my finger, I guess, you know, see, that's how I'm trying to stop him because we're both extroverts. So it's going to be kind of challenging. We got to see figure it out. For
Go on.
me, it's the culture aspect of the individuals and people we're talking to as well. Because there's sometimes I'm Hispanic, guys. I have this amount of my
Why are you
family when they get
generalizing?
together, you're
Why are
talking
you
about
generalizing?
everyone speaking on top of each other. It is just a nightmare. Like someone looking at that from the outside is like, guys, you guys need some therapy. It's so, but it's an interesting thing that when you're working with culture, when you're trying to understand them, there are some things that are appropriate and some things that throw you off. And Max, I love what you just said. There's times where I think I did a great job, but there's always that one person that might come up and say, man, you guys were so freaking loud. You're a little bit too over the top. Why don't you
Couldn't get a
calm your
word
tone a
in.
little bit so that we can speak better? But I'm going to tell you something, Max. Sometimes you can't satisfy everyone. You got to be careful because you might be adjusting and then suddenly you're losing other people.
Yes, but you want everybody to feel at ease to share that feedback. Share that feedback. And if you can't really address that feedback then or whatever, be straightforward about it. Hey, we've taken a direction we can't, but I hear you. I heard what you said. I registered it. Check it. Oh my goodness. There's more things to go through. Okay. So
Right. We can stay here forever.
we can stay
Again, I
here
love
forever.
this survey you just mentioned. That's really awesome, especially if you're
Aristotle project.
remember, Max, many people they want this quantifiable information that they can share with their organization. And there's a lot of good videos, guys. Go online and take a look at this, and you could share it with your teams to kind of help them start digesting the importance of this. Right.
Imagine that they rated psychological safety above seniority, pay, tenure, co-located or not, like all these things that we really think are important. Imagine that, right? So now we're really going to connect this here. Why is psychological safety important to customer value? Why is it even important? And if I may, Rick, I want to start off with an actual scenario that happened
Oh,
this
wow.
week with a client. Okay. First thing I'm going to say is customer value can be a very tricky thing. And I like this simple equation that says, okay, it's the customer perceived benefit minus the customer perceived cost equals customer perceived value. The key thing about here is perceived, perceived. Okay. Sometimes it's not easy to quantify customer value, but you have to try as hard as possible. And sometimes you will just get an idea and a gut feeling about things. And I'll tell you where this happened in my company. Okay. Carpe Diem Technology Services. We were having this engagement with a client who's in the construction space. We're building out a workflow tool for them. They are pretty much on a glorified spreadsheet right now to track all their tasks and everything. We're going to do role based, GUI, Everybody sees only the work that they have to do. They can check, they can have bar graphs, they can have dashboards, blah, blah, blah. So we got to a point where we have delivered the first milestone of design and discovery work and stuff like that. And once we get done with a milestone and they agree on it, we send an invoice, right? That's how we work so that there's a mutual understanding that we've delivered a certain value. When I'm getting ready to do that so that we can get paid a substantial amount of money and all that, my tech lead tells me, the tech lead in the meeting that we had internally in our company says, hold on, Max, hold on. They could get a lot more value if besides all these Figma designs that we've done and data diagrams and stuff like that, they're a construction company, like we can actually put these initial views that we've done in just a browser that they can click through. They can share it with their salespeople. They can share it with their folks on the assembly line doing construction, cutting the marble. They can actually share that. And then there, we could really discover if this interface works for more of their people that are going to be using it. And at first I was like, you just brought up a point that is going to stop us from making money. Okay. I was ready to invoice. I was ready to get that part done and move on. But when I heard that, I was like, you might have a point. And so we shared that feedback with the client. And the client immediately said, oh my goodness, that would be great. That would be great. Because a lot of times, you know, you share data diagrams with us and you share like Figma designs, and some of us can ping through that and everything and give you feedback. But a lot of our folks that are on the front line, we can't pull them off the work to do that. But if you just have a simple link, like a URL they can go to, they can click through real quick on their phone or whatever it is, that would be a quick 5-minute way to get feedback. That was a game changer. The, the, the customer perceived value and appreciated because we talked about something beyond what we had agreed upon. But Rick, this was because my tech lead stopped us. Stopped. The CTO was on the call. I'm the CEO and founder. All the big guns. She was the lowest ranking person on the call. But it didn't matter because she just said, you know what? I don't think we should invoice them just yet. And this is why.
That's an amazing feeling to be able to do that, right? How many people feel comfortable doing that and stopping the production line, right? So that is, and I've seen that as well, but I've seen people stay quiet where they're intimidated, right? They're afraid, and they're like, why would I stick my neck out right now? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm
Yeah,
why am I going to, belittle myself or, look, because think about it. Safety is not just, hey, I'm right. Safety is, hey, I just want you to throw another idea here. And I want to see if you guys are willing to listen to it so that we can have a healthy debate. I've had teams, Max, where they're all kumbaya. They all hold their hands and they say, oh, we're so
yes.
awesome, we're awesome, we're awesome. But they never have those uncomfortable debates, uncomfortable
Bingo.
saying, I want somebody to be the naysayer. How many times do you tell your group, okay, your team, who wants to be the naysayer today?
Yes.
I want you to tell me why this is going to fail. How many
We're
people,
all team players. All team
right?
players. There's no
Team player, hold
naysayers.
hands. This thing. But one of the things that I do want to drop back a second because
Yes.
you're really quantifying things here, right? You're using some numbers. I do want to make sure that people also understand NPS and ENPS, right?
Ooh,
How do you
yes.
tie those two together? Because if you really want to make a difference and you really want to hit the executive team to say, this is valuable and what we do really matters, you could say psychological safety until you're blue in the face. Go ahead, keep saying it, keep saying it. I've
Could
gone
you
into
explain
executives.
those those like acronyms? Can
Sure,
you like
sure.
to explain them? Mhm.
uh, Net promoter score. So that's normally what everyone does when they're kind of assessing their customers to see if they're satisfied.
Their
And they normally ask a
experience.
very simple question, how likely are you to recommend a family member or whatever to the same service? Perfect. And then you do a 1 through 10. There's a whole bunch of data on that. You guys can read up on that. But now the twist is, can you do that for your employees as well? ENPS, employee net promoter score. So this is them saying, hey, how comfortable do I live working here? And am I willing to ask a friend or family member to also work in this environment. Or no way in hell, I don't know if I can say hell in here, but maybe you can beep it out. So, hey, am I willing? So that number gives you a score. And I've
Yes.
worked with companies, oh, they've got negative, I don't know what. And
Engagement is low.
yes,
Engagement is below 40%,
yeah.
and they don't do anything about it sometimes.
So how you tie that in, what exercise do you need to do to showcase that gives you a lot of leverage as you move through your journey to helping this team out.
Absolutely. And please, as I said, we anybody has something to chat about, anybody has something that they want to add, feel free to share. Okay?
And
I
if
know
you
some
want to
people
disagree,
are eating, like they're eating, some people are eating at the same time.
and if
I
you want to
just want
disagree with Max, you can do that. Okay, we're safe here. Don't disagree with Rick, but with Max, you can do that. Okay.
Oh boy, oh boy. Awesome. Awesome.
So
Rick,
I want to give you another scenario of psychological safety,
please.
which is a little bit of what you said, but here's another personal thing. So again, I early in my career, working a lot with teams, making sure that they get to that environment. There was a point in time where managers wanted to force themselves inside of teams' retrospects, right? And
God.
they weren't ready for it. And we had teams stepping up and saying, we can't have you in there right now until we're ready for it, right? That was a little bit of uncomfortable for you to tell a manager that, hey, we're not there yet. Ultimately, we want managers and teams to really work together, right? We don't want to isolate that. But it was just an interesting, courageous, because it takes courage, Max. Like this is
Yes.
not something that, and we talked about that in our interview last time, right? It takes a lot of courage. And some people, hey man, you got to pay the bills, right? To do that.
Especially in this job market.
Oh yeah.
Especially in this job market, this economy. Stocks, the stock market is skyrocketing, but look at what the challenges are in employment and companies that lay off every month and stuff. Are you gonna stick your neck out on the line and say, I'd rather not have the manager in the retrospective? It-
Yeah. You would.
like
You
you
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
You
You wouldn't.
wouldn't.
And,
Like you
and
wouldn't.
Max, just to add to that, I have a company that I'm working with in Puerto Rico, right? And they're facing some challenges, and they're laying people off. And for them
Yeah,
to actually say, I'm gonna do exactly what you tell me to do,
that's
and
it.
I'm not gonna question anything, because right now that's where we're at. So it's we can say this, but doing it is a little different, right?
Yeah, and I can remember so many times when I was trying to lead an agile transformation, even just like streamline processes, do whatever in large organizations, and we started to make a little bit of progress, breaking down chunks of large work into smaller bits and bytes so that we can have more of an iterative process with feedback loops. That's like just doing that alone was a game changer. Just saying, hey, instead of planning for like 4 months, let's just plan for a few weeks, get started, and get feedback from someone on the end user side, like within a month. It was a game changer, right? As soon as a new executive came into the organization, and it took only one email that says, why are we doing this? I want to see a detailed project plan for the whole
Wow.
16 months, and I want us to sign up on that. I don't want any changes, everything we had worked on for quarters, and the business was starting to get on top of it. Everything we had done ended. Nobody, but Rick, the most painful part of it is that nobody said a word except me. Because I've got to say something. I've got to say something,
Is that when you
right?
got
I
fired? I just want to make sure. Is that when you got fired, or was that prior? Was that?
think I was marginalized, but I wasn't fired. But it's still, when you're marginalized, it hurts. It hurts. Like I stood up in a meeting and I was like, well, can we? As if I said no. I said, well, can we get some more feedback on this and do like an analysis, pros and cons of how we're doing it now. crickets in the room. And like the vice president just like stared at me as if like, what didn't you understand of what I just said? Right? To them, it was like, this is what they did at their prior company. This is how they were successful. And this is why they're getting paid the salary that they are. And they see the paycheck stub every 2 weeks. Why are you doubting anything I'm saying? And
Exactly.
who else here is complaining about it, right? Who else is complaining? Nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. And then I realized that, you know what? No psychological safety, then the culture that you have, the approach that you take to things is just like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and you just move. It's
Uh,
just, it's just
but Max, let
unfortunate.
me be personal to you there because I've
I
I've coached executives and I swear this is what they've told me in my face. I don't
mm,
want you to come to me. If there's a problem, I want no, no, listen, this is
okay,
important. I want the
yes,
team to come to me. So it
okay,
is a good point. Like
yes,
we got to be careful. We can yell as much as we want, but until they're ready for it, until the team wants to take a step up, it doesn't matter how much you yell. They're
doesn't
they're
matter.
not gonna they're not gonna
You
move
as an
forward. So
external consultant,
yeah,
you as an external consultant,
correct.
forget it.
Right. So
Because
you
you're
got to
gonna
make sure,
leave. You're gonna leave, and they're
and
gonna stay there
and they
and
know that,
deal
and
with
they
the
know that.
consequences.
Yes. So,
There
so
you
it's an
go. There you
interesting
go.
exercise to try to
Oh my
pull
God.
off, right? Because many of us probably got into that situation. You feel strongly about something, and the majority of people are not even reacting. They're not even. Now,
Yes.
here's another story for you. I had an executive who came in the room one time, and everyone kept quiet. He said something, no one ever contradicted him. So I went to coach him after. I got lucky. I went to coach him. And I asked him, hey, are you observing this? Are you seeing how when you come in, everyone's quiet? You know what he told me, Max? What-
Oh,
you
okay. I thought that that was just the way they are. I was
know,
just,
no, he actually says that's his intention.
God,
That's
stop.
what he was looking for. He's looking for that type of authoritative, hey, do what I say, stop playing around because I need you to do this right now, right?
You
It's
know
that
what?
mindset.
I appreciate that he was straightforward
Yes.
about it. I've gotten to the point in my career, whatever way you are, and this is part of psychological safety, just be yourself. Be yourself. And if yourself is very contradictory to what we are, then at least we know where we stand.
Yeah.
We know
I,
where we stand.
I think that was
Can
a
you
win. Yes,
imagine?
I agree. I never helped
Authority.
them, but I think
Oh
it was a
my,
win.
oh my, oh yeah, that's like, that is so painful. Again, I know that this is the Max and Rick show, I suppose. And a lot of people are just like, hey, continue on. I'll just be here. I'll multitask.
I'm just curious if
Like,
they have certain
Woody,
challenges. I'm curious if they have certain challenges that maybe they're facing that we can blend into our conversation. Is anybody facing any psychological challenge, psychological safety challenges? Uh-oh, yes.
do
Woody,
you
what's
feel
going on, Woody?
psychologically safe to share it right now? Do you feel psychologically safe
It's
to
being
share?
recorded. It's being recorded.
Yes, psychologically safe in my own head. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow. Okay.
Wait, so that means you feel psychologically safe in your own head, but even sharing it here, you don't like feel
No, no,
psychologically
I'm
safe.
referring to self-doubt. It's something that all of us do, right?
I love it.
We don't give our permission to show up authentically and be ourselves.
That is.
And 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 what are the consequences of that, right? Because I see really major consequences about that, right? But what do you see as when people cannot show up as themselves, like bring their knowledge to the table, bring their persona?
Well, they walk away from a situation, they feel, they feel bad about it and they feel like there isn't anything they can do, right? Whereas if they had just been themselves, you know, like you were saying. So,
Woody,
And
what,
and
what,
I
what,
like, oh, sorry, yeah,
sorry.
Rick.
What I challenge with this is everyone should be themselves. Great. But there's also people that interpret things differently. And I think that's always the hard part is because let's pretend you're a very straightforward guy, Woody, right? you just blurt it out. Wow. And that might be very offensive for somebody because they haven't yet gotten their thoughts or haven't really thought their opinion, and you're kind of so it's how do you understand each character in the equation and how do they kind of mix together, and they're willing to open and say, well, maybe my way of communicating to you isn't as clear as I need to be, right? So we also have to be vulnerable to ourselves, right?
Right.
That's a thought. I don't know what you think.
I would agree.
Awesome.
And Rick, that's spot on. But still, I feel that at least some feedback can be provided to whomever it was that was direct and say, hey, we still want you to say what you think. Maybe we can say it in a more respectful manner, right? Maybe we could, because, there's got to be a norm of mutual respect and communication technique and stuff that is not like, why did you do that? That was stupid, right? But we still, so it's like that fine balance. It's that
So
fine kind of balance.
so here's my remedy to that. And
Mhm.
this is something that I try to hold to my heart. Take every comment in a positive way. They're only saying this because they want to help or because they're looking for opportunities to do something better. That is it. If you take it personal and you think it's an attack, I've had people say some words that anybody else would get offended. But I said, okay, let me pull back. Let me listen to this. And
Oh
what is
yeah.
this person who cares about me? Like, you need to change your mind that cares about me is trying. Because if you didn't care about me, Woody, if you didn't care about me, Woody, you wouldn't say anything. Those are the ones that I'm scared of. The ones that don't say anything, those I can't feel it out.
Are
You know?
not engaged, really don't
Well,
Don't
care,
care.
the other thing
blase
to do if
blase.
somebody says something that, sounds like it's angry or something. I mean, a lot of the time people have other stuff going on in their lives, right?
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
if it rubs you the wrong way or you don't understand it, the best thing to do, I think, is say, well, tell me what you mean by that, right? Have them elaborate a little bit.
Bingo. In a calm manner, right? In a calm kind of a manner, and say,
Yeah,
tell me more. Tell me more. I'm not really understanding the full package.
exactly.
Yeah.
We
But
could go
Woody,
on
but
and on. Oh, just the last few comments
But
on
Woody,
this.
remember what you just said right now. You basically told them this is how I'm feeling, right? That's the problem with situations and conversations, right? If you, I've had to do a retrospect, and before I did the retrospect, I asked everybody, "How are you feeling today?" They were feeling lousy. I didn't want to run the retrospect because they were just burned down. They were tired. They were this. And I said, we're going to do something a little different. But how many times do we get that cue from people? How many times do we just start a meeting by saying, hey, from 1 to 10,
Regardless of
how are
how.
we feeling, guys? Right?
Yeah.
Right. But
And
why are
that's
they
true.
feeling lousy? Why are they feeling burnout? Right. I mean, that's a perfect
That's a
topic
good one.
for the retrospective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
because
no,
it could
absolutely. It
be
should be addressed.
connected to work, right? If it's connected to something personal, that's more
Right.
challenging. But there could be something connected to the work that makes them lousy, grumpy, frustrated, demoralized. And that is a good thing to dig it, because that might be a root cause that is impacting some other people also.
Yeah, and
You never
it
know.
could be it
Yeah.
could be a combination of things, right? Like I don't
Bingo.
like these 8:30 a.m. stand-ups
Yeah.
because I have to get up at 6 o'clock to get my two kids off to school and daycare,
Yeah.
and it interrupts my sleep pattern. And on top of that, I'm having to work and be on phone calls with people offshore
At
until midnight,
10
right?
o'clock at night. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you have to share that because maybe someone was not aware. Oh, yeah, that's true. You work with that other team in Penang or in Bangalore, but it's only you that's doing that. We weren't, and people were not aware. You just got to share it. You got to bring it out. Oh my God, we have a last topic, and which I last topic on this, and it's what can you do to create a psychologically safe environment. It's almost like a call to action. It's a call to action and everything. And I put down a few things here just because there was a main thing that I like here in psychological safety: a team climate characterized by interpersonal trust, trust, and mutual respect, and how to create a psychological safety at work, how to create it. Okay. Rick, if you don't mind, I would just like to start off with something that I'm also doing at my company right now. This is just, I just tell everybody I'm high on life because stuff that I've wanted to do for 23 years in corporate America and I've not been able to do, now I can do it. Now I can do it. This is my company. And we might not be massive, but we're 12 people now. We're 12 people. So there's things that we could do. So I have discovered that I can talk about a psychologically safe environment. I can talk about a lot of things. I can tell them, be safe, be trust, and stuff like, and don't worry, don't worry. Like everything's going to be all right. And that does help, but it's when you do real actions that make people feel no matter what is going to happen, no matter what your mood is, Max, or no matter what goes on, I'm a part of this company. I have skin in the game and I can bring myself here and I can say something that even contradicts you, Mr. Founder CEO. So I thought to myself, what can get people to that kind of a mentality? Because that's what I want. That's what I experienced this week with the tech lead just speaking up when against the flow of everything. I have been reading up on employee-owned companies, employee-owned companies. And I have a vision to make Carpe Diem Technology Services an employee-owned company. Presently, less than 1% of the companies in the US are employee-owned. But when you do studies and you see about like the employee-owned companies, you can't just get up and fire an employee because your stock price is down or whatever the case may be. Employee-owned companies first are not on the stock market because they're private companies owned by the employees, but it's the fact that they have skin in the game. They're part of the company. They partially own the company. They will bring their best, not only because they have profit sharings. The stocks, internal stocks of the company depend on the value that they bring. They will bring their best. And when they even see that someone else is not bringing their best, their first gut instinct is like, how can I help you? How can I help you? Because the only way that the value of this whole company goes up and that we succeed is if the company succeeds. If the company doesn't succeed and it fails, my equity in the company is worth nothing. But I'll conclude with saying this is the vision that I have because how you create psychological safety can vary by a lot of things that you say. But when it comes to certain actions, I believe that there's certain things you do. And by me giving equity and share and stockholder like ability to employees makes them feel I'm part of this. I'm part of this until the end. And if the company fails, I'm not entitled. This is not a job I'm entitled to. Because if I don't do a good job, I could be the cause of the failure. And then it's over. If I kick in, this can be good for me and everybody else. I'll pause there, Rick, because I'm
If
super
you had a fork,
excited.
if you had a fork to drop, that would be a good fork to drop. But
I've got a
uh,
pen. I got a pen. Look at you.
uh,
You go.
so thank you, Max. That's an amazing opportunity there. There's a lot of learnings because me as a business owner has experiment with a lot of those things trying to figure it out. Even Resumex, and I know Anu just left, or I don't know if she's still here, but they're also experimenting with outcome-based teams, right? Where it's whatever they produce is what they're going to receive. So it's kind of like a different model, and it might be a futuristic model. Like, hey, this might be what future teams look like. They're still experimenting, which I'm going to keep tabs on that to see how that works out. That's really, really cool. But to give people advice on how to set up a safe environment, first,
Yes.
it's about teams having those working agreements, right? Because you got to respect and all those things. You got to define what that means. So they got to make sure that they're holding each other, at least knowing that this is what we call safe environment. So visualizing is a plus. And then who's responsible for creating that environment? It's supposed to be leadership, right? So where does leadership step in? So Max, you talked earlier about this developer being able to speak up, but the leaders are supposed to take the lead on that. How many times do you see leaders saying, I messed up?
There
I
you
did
go.
something wrong, right?
Yes.
You don't see that happening. So you're expecting the teams to speak up, but you're not speaking up. and you're not sharing your weakness and you're not sharing anything because you're perfect, right? So that's where you see a big flaw. That's why the coaching that's done at the leadership level, I know a lot of us try to coach upward, and that's interesting, that's tough. But them coaching each other as peers with a coach is very important for you to actually have success, right? So that's something that you should really be considering. Are these executives, are the C levels of your company really behaving and removing silos out of their mindset, right? So those
And
are some
showing that
things.
they're vulnerable. They're
Yeah,
vulnerable. And if I fail from something, I better make sure I learn from it, because failure is not the problem. Not learning from something, from a failure, is the problem. Is the problem. Because then you go do that same failure a second time. And guess what? That costs money. That costs money. But when you
yeah.
learn from it, you start to see the return on investment.
I love it.
Right.
And here's an example. I had a C level who had a town hall meeting, and I had them do anonymous polls to tell them, hey, what are things that they don't like about him or things that he's not doing properly? And
Ooh,
he had to answer it anonymously. He had to answer it face to face right there in front of everybody. But he
wow.
showed vulnerability. He showed
Yes.
he's working on it and he's at least starting. But again, that doesn't mean all leaders can do this. But it's
Yes.
just interesting that some of them do try to take that thing. But I'm
That
gonna leave you
is,
with one last thing, and
that's
it's a
awesome.
song. I'm gonna sing a song to you, Max. All right? You
Hey,
ready?
Woody, are you ready for the song,
You
Woody?
ready for the
Are
song,
you
buddy?
ready?
Here we go. You gotta fight for your right to be
Huh?
agile, to be agile. Remember, agile is not given, it's earned. So psychological safety is not just leadership. Teams have to step up. If they are not holding each other accountable, if they're not having those uncomfortable conversations, how long, Max, do you think they're going to have a safe environment? No, management is going to come in and say, I'm going to rearrange you. You guys don't work well together. Let me change the thing, or let me fire a few of you. Even though I don't know what's going on, I'm still going to fire a few of you. So it's important for them to hold themselves accountable and earn it every day. That's the key. How many times do you see layoffs? Where is it that the teams are saying to themselves, like what you said earlier, where are they showing the value? They're supposed to be demonstrating the value. They're supposed to be sharing the value. So they can say, why would you fire me when you see that our costs are way beyond what we're actually doing? It's a thought
But
process,
that's
guys.
very tough. That's very tough, Rick,
It is,
right?
but you
Because
got to get to that
sometimes
point. If
the
not,
firings don't even make sense sometimes,
yeah, that's a
right?
different level. That's a different level.
That's
I
a
won't be
different
able to
kind of,
help that one.
but you got to show the value. Yes,
But
you've
that's the
got to
minimum,
really
right?
show the value and get creative about how you want to show the value and bring other things up and stuff like that. Oh my God, Rick, this is like, this was awesome. I'm like, my energy's drained, but it's like, I just believe more and more on this topic and everything. And it's just, I think that what is so important is that people understand how connected psychological safety is to delivering customer value. It's,
And
and as you said, it's like that NPS and E EPS. No,
ENPS, yeah.
ENPS. NPS and ENPS. Like the customer and the employee are like two sides of the same coin. They're like two sides of the same coin. And you really have to make sure that both of them, you're delivering value, you're really motivating and engaging with both customer and your employee.
And that there's a connection, right? That they're actually
Yes.
linked. You can see NPS go up if ENPS goes up. If ENPS goes up or goes down with that counter effect, they want to see that logic because that'll make them make some decisions of, hey, we might need to do things differently, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, great, great. And as we conclude, because we're just like 3 minutes from the end and stuff, but like to Woody or anybody else that has a comment and stuff, I know it's like Friday at lunchtime, so people are multitasking, doing this. It's hard to stay engaged and be asking and talking about stuff in this virtual world that we're in because you already have a lot of virtual meetings going on. but I wanted to say thank you to like everybody that joined on this just to discuss this topic that is like so important, and try whatever you can to create a little bit more psychological safety around you for yourself, for the people that you work with, and everything. I just see that we really have a long way to go on this topic, a long way to go. And it's like, it's not always a priority topic for a lot of teams and organizations, but just, it's so critical, I feel. So critical. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining. I just want to pause for a second. I just want to make sure if thumbs up there. I mean, to Woody, thank you. If anybody has something to put, feel free to put it in the chat if you don't want to speak up or whatever. But thanks for joining. Thanks for coming out. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick, for being here, talking about this. Always a pleasure to chat with you on this. And have a good Friday, everybody, and have a good weekend. Till the next time.
Thank you.
Stop sharing. I'll wait for everybody to drop off. Cheers.
And you stop recording, right?
Oh, wait, yes, let me stop recording too. Hold on. Why? You don't want something to be heard, Rick?
Hey,
What,
this
what
is the
is it?
time to tell you something. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, no. I don't feel psychologically safe now. I don't want to talk when we're not being recorded. I don't want. Let me stop
That's your
right
safety net, right?
now.
That's your safety net.
We're
Put it
safe.
in writing. Put it in writing.
We are safe.